Okay, welcome. It is now 1 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 p.m. on the East Coast. So we'll go ahead and get started. I wanted to just immediately share my screen here. And I'm going to put up a couple of different things here. And there you have it. We're just putting them on one of the JV partner sites there. Actually, since Burke Allen is here, we'll put Burke's site up. Burke, how are you? He can't hear me yet. Now he can hear me. Burke, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you, Fred?
Good. A lot easier using that Mac, huh?
Yeah, yeah, so far.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't had any problems with the audio or anything like that, right?
No, not at all. I did want to ask you, in case the other phones, it's a big snowstorm is actually hitting D.C. right as we speak. And so I let Alyssa go home early in case I need to mute on the Mac or mute this call. How would I go about muting that in case the phone starts to...
Well, take a look at the upper right-hand corner of your screen. The far right, upper right is an eject button. The second one next to that increases volume. The one next to that, the F11 key, decreases volume, and the F10 key mutes.
F10 is the mute.
That it has a little picture of a speaker on it, but nothing coming out of it.
Yep, got it. Okay, good. Then I'll know how to mute in case the phone starts to ring and it won't distract the other people on the
You
call.
got it. Perfect. Thank you very much for being so thoughtful. So anyway, a lot of information to discuss here. I just came back from a session, and I just sent this out, blast to my list, because I was at the conference that was put on by, the big person there was the actual entity behind it is GoDaddy. I had a chance to, the CEO, a guy named Bob Parsons, who has become sort of infamous in the advertising and marketing world for his Super Bowl ads that really, really ticked a lot of people off because they thought they were sexist, but it got everybody talking about him. And he told the story about how it really turned the company around. They've become the single biggest seller. But anyway, I don't like to use their name because, frankly, I like to use my own branding. I see that someone is just getting on the phone here, and I'm going to make sure and make a comment to him directly here in a second. But anyway, so this is all about ultra cheap domains. And Jeff Slotin, you have not been watching the Facebook page. You need to go there. You haven't given me the physical address to send something to you. You're the only one that didn't do that. Go on the Facebook page, and all the proteges should be staying very, very, up to date with the Facebook page because that's where we communicate all the messages. It's important to check that on a daily basis, probably. So anyway, this convention that I went to was put on by, now, Ultra Cheap Domains is, and let's just say that's my retail domain selling business, okay? Now, this is going to be important to everyone on the call for a couple reasons. I also have set up sell domains for profit.com. The reason why I bring these up is because I have seen it's very, very clear to me that oh, Bill, hey Bill, how are you?
Hey.
This is what I learned. We got in there. I think it was on Sunday. I got in there Sunday early evening and left Tuesday midday. I was sitting next to people. Many of whom were making upwards of $30,000 or $40,000 a month in automatic money, coming from primarily this source, which is at Sell Domains for Profit, which is if you want to get signed up to sell things like domain names and hosting, this is the place to do it at Sell Domains for Profit. You can set up your own version of ultra cheap domains. Now, the problem is that like an idiot, I have been concentrating my efforts over the years on webmarketingmagic.com and not on Sell Domains for Profit or my retail store or ultra cheap domains. Well, evidently I was missing the boat because although webmarketingmagic.com is a great solution for e-commerce, it certainly isn't as generic as some of the other things, like everybody and their brother needs domain names, and everybody and their brother needs hosting, and everybody and their brother needs a website. And all of those things can be done now. If you go to Sell Domains for Profit, you can set up your own version of this. And I literally am sitting next to people who are in their late 20s, early 30s, collecting checks for $30, $40, $50,000 a month with this. So I would recommend to everyone that if you haven't done it already, you go to selldomainsforprofit.com, spend the $90, set up your own retail store, and start doing this, because if people will just, you can set your prices at whatever you want, down to a certain minimum level. But here's a couple of the things that I learned that were very, very interesting. First off, the guy who is the head of the company, who's a guy named Bob Parsons. Bob Parsons was responsible for all of the controversial Super Bowl advertising that GoDaddy did that got them all kinds of press and publicity. And he tells the story about how every single, Christian minister on the planet was bitching to their congregation. He used to get letters, stacks of letters, actually many postcards that were pre-printed. And then he would go on afterwards and check his data and find out that many of the people that were sending complaint postcards had also become GoDaddy customers. So evidently, any press is good press, as he has proven. And the thing that he talked about that was really interesting, his message, and I wish I could have recorded it, although I was going to try and do that clandestinely, but they probably would have just kicked me out. Somebody's got some feedback there, so check out who's got something going on in terms of feedback. We're hearing it.
Hey, Fred, this is Dave. I think that's me. Sorry about that.
Yeah, just kill something.
Yeah.
Kill your audio. Get off, get back on, because it'll screw up the rest of the call. There you go. Do something.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Bob talked about is the fact that unless you're having fun, you're not gonna, it's not even worth making the money. A couple of other things that happened in addition to Bob Parsons speaking of this, the head of SEO for GoDaddy, which by the way, this guy is responsible for making sure that if you go to cheap, and let me just show you this to show you how powerful this is. So cheap domain names. So you pull up cheap domain names and you will see that in the #1 position, well actually it is, wait a second, I think it's cheap domain, no, not cheap domain names. These are some of the affiliates. Anyway, these people are affiliates for domain names, some of them. But this guy that spoke, who I'm going to have an interview with, is their head. Chris is their head of all things having to do with, I don't know, it wasn't Chris, I forget his name. Anyway, he's the head of SEO stuff. And here are a few things that he taught me. #1, I'm changing the name that we're using for the voiceover training for Bill DeWeese. It was Real Voice Over, and I've got this typed too large, training.com. And one of the things I learned is if you're going to set up a new domain name and you're having problems finding domain names that have your keywords in them, that if you're going to make a choice between realvoiceovertraining.com and voiceovertrainingnow.com, you should choose the latter. The first words of your domain, the keywords of your domain should always be in front of another word that may not be as relevant. So whether it's voiceovertraining now or voiceovertrainingusa.com, that would be better than realvoiceovertraining.com, because the real is in front of the voice. So we're changing that on Bill DeWeese's site based on his recommendation. Another thing that was fascinating was the fact that he was saying that if you're competing against, as I am in, for example, the keywords information marketing, against a couple of the big players, that one of the things he suggested that tends to work pretty well is there's a paid service through PR Web. And PR Web will do press releases for you. And they have something, you want an SEO press release, in which case your goal is not to get your press release picked up, although that's nice, and if it does, it certainly helps. But your real goal with the PR SEO press release is to get them to put your press release with the right anchor text, which is your keywords that you want, onto their site, because they have a rating. Their site is a PR7, and that's a PR7 for their particular site. So if they have links from theirs to yours, you're going to get some bump in the engines, and that can be the difference. So the question then becomes, well, how much does this cost? Well, they'll sell you one of these. Apparently, their standard retail price on this is $200. However, if you agree to do like 12 months, one a month, that should be $2,400. But instead, you can maybe get it down to as low as $100 per month if you do some fancy negotiating. So the point there is when you talk to the folks at PR Web for any of these PR and press release packages, they are negotiable. So don't forget that. And one of the things that, so he went through a whole list, and I just sent him an email. So obviously the key things to get the rankings, and I just spent a bunch of money here last night late when I found this guy who was doing this program, and I'll share it with all the proteges shortly. But there are a few key things, obviously. So number one for everybody listening on the call is, if you haven't already, is you'd be, and again, I put this in my email, you'd be crazy not to do this. Sell domains for profit.com. And if anybody has any other audio stuff set up on their computers, you may want to turn off that function just so it doesn't interfere with this call. So sell domains for profit.com. Set yourself up to sell domains, to sell hosting, and all that other stuff. And the other thing that I found out that was very interesting is I used to be under the mistaken impression that the where you hosted your site was going to have significant SEO impact. From talking to at least 20 people about this topic, the issue of where a site is hosted. Now, say for example, there was one guy there from Holland, and the guy from Holland, who again is generating ridiculous amounts of money monthly, the guy from Holland was talking about the fact that, yeah, if you're hosting a site in the US and you're trying to optimize it for the Netherlands, that's not a good thing. But if you're hosting with any of the decent sized hosting companies here, including Sell Domains for Profit, which is GoDaddy, and again, you can set up your own for that, it's not really going to have that big an effect, because I was under the mistaken impression that where and which hosting company you hosted your site with would have major implications. Apparently, according to these people who know their stuff, the answer is it does not. And this is from people who have had, they have had their sites in extremely competitive keywords go all the way to the top. So that's one of the things to think about as well. So for us, well, what does this mean? There were also some other things that were really interesting that I found out about, and that's why everything that I'm going to be doing is going to be moving over to this platform. This company is incredibly customer service oriented and willing to listen to people, which was amazing to me. They now own 25% of all domain registrations. They're the biggest player in the market. They do more of that than anyone else. So I would encourage you to use their services, either going through, and let me explain the difference here because it's important. Between Sell Domains for Profit is sort of and I'll just make this type a little bit smaller here so that we can fit more on. Sell Domains for Profit is my wholesale sort of version of this, where you can set up yourself as wholesale shop, I'll call it, whereas Ultra Cheap Domains.com is my retail store. And in their sort of parlance, in their wording, the Ultra Cheap Domains, I am a reseller, and the other one, I'm either a super reseller or I think they call it a pro reseller, one of the two. And the folks that are involved in doing this, most of them, the way that they're making their money is they've been pretty good at getting SEO for these very competitive words having to do with domain registration and hosting. But the main takeaway point for us in terms of the domain names was this whole issue of the position of the domain name itself and where it goes. But it still holds true from my interview with Fin and Surf that if somebody is looking for information marketing, and this guy that owns informationmarketing.com that blogs 3 times a year, his site still shows up as number 1 because the assumption there is that people are going to find those. Now, another thing that I also became convinced of, we had presentations at this event from a number of people, including the people at .org and .me and .co. Now, .co is going to be doing a huge promotion. Even I think they're even in the Super Bowl too. So if you have any names that you want to reserve, and here is my understanding that again, that first off, the .org extension, if I had it to all do over again, I would think that I might want to get many domain names because it does not affect SEO. .org versus .com, because .orgs will rate, it's not going to have any effect or any impact if you have a .org. But in the minds of your customers, .org means trust, and people think possibly non-profit. So that the .org extension is a good one to have for whatever kind of service or product you're doing. So if you don't have the .org of whatever your primary domain name is, probably a good idea to get that. And again, the fact that you get it through ultra cheap domains, I think puts like a nickel or something in my pocket. I don't know what it is, but either do it yourself. But if you're starting to do a lot of domain names, make sure and get your own registrar service by doing this. But the .org, the .me, this woman was interesting. She was the representative. They're from Montenegro, and that is the country thing. But a lot of people, they're promoting this as the sort of the personal blogging site and all these other things. So a lot of people are learning, are doing the .me. But this one, the .co, is going to be in the Super Bowl, and that's the one where you may want to go ahead and see and grab some domain names that are very, very targeted to your keywords, because the apparently, according to all the SEO people there, that there wasn't really a big difference, except if it was, I guess some of the much more lesser domain extensions. But my understanding is that using .co, the only problem with .co for me is if, let's say, you were to reserve, let's say, voiceover training. The problem is that people you'd probably be promoting, you own this .co, you'd probably be promoting the .com a lot. But in terms of SEO stuff, having a different extension here isn't going to hurt you that dramatically, or that's what they told. But for me, I listened to these people and I said, oh, .co, that's sort of nice. So if you can find the right words, you might want to search it. And by the way, at ultra cheap domains, all of these are available. Now, some of these are more expensive than others. The .co right now, I think, are going for something like some ridiculous amount, like 29 bucks or something like that a year. But check that out and take a look at that. So those were a few of the things that I learned. There was also a lot of other interesting people there. A gal that I was sitting next to, who I met on the first day and sat next to on the last day, has 28,000 people subscribed to her YouTube channel. That's 28,000 people. She has no products of her own, strictly evaluates other people's products and makes recommendations. So needless to say, she's taking a look at some of my stuff. And she's been, again, generating a nice, huge, pretty full-time income from all this stuff. So there was a lot of information there. The other thing is that as a result of, I'm going to get to interview the number 2 in command over there. So her name is Barb. I forget her last name. And she works direct. She's worked with Bob Parsons for 25 years. So if anyone wants to ask any questions about domain names and hosting, send them to me, and I will, when I speak to Barb, his senior vice president, over the phone for an interview, I will ask those questions and make sure that I ask them. Also, not that I want to ruin the thunder of what I'm sending you guys, but what I'm sending you in the mail that went out just half an hour ago has to do with improving online conversions. It was a freebie given by Google that I asked for 20 copies of, and they were happy to give them to me. So when you get this item in the mail, and all of you who put your addresses, and again, Jeff, you're the only one that I didn't get anything from, so I couldn't send it to you, because again, be looking at the Facebook site on a regular basis. Please make sure and send me an address, or if you get, as soon as you get this, read this sucker very, very carefully, because it's going to really help us in terms of increasing online conversions. Because again, going back to the three-legged stool, we got the product, we've got conversion, and we have, of course, traffic. So those are the things that we're concentrating on. We're all making the assumption that the product is great, and if it is, you get more repeat customers and more referrals, and people buy more from you and increase stuff. So this other one is talking about conversion, and that little booklet that you're getting is going to help you in that area. As far as traffic, I felt this was amazing. Last night I went on, and I'm tempted to show you the website that I went to, because here's what happened. And you gotta love this method. And this was all through ClickBank. So, and this guy has a 60-day, money back guarantee, right? So let me get rid of some of this type down here. So here's what happened. This is what was so amazing about this. First off, it's late at night. I was sort of tired, but and so maybe my senses weren't fully with me. But this guy does an offer, right, for $97. As I click to order it, it brings up the thank you page is another sales letter. And this other sales letter is for a $297 product, which I then buy. And the thank you letter that is for a $97 product, which I then buy, which is their thank you letter there is another sales letter for a $197 product, which I then buy. And at the end of all this, I think he had either 5 or 6 total upsells. Now, here's the issue here. I mean, I know it was late, and I know I had my credit card out already, but I'm sure there are a lot of other people that did the same thing that I did, which is order this, and then what happened was you got this program, and by the way, this is going to be a program that I'm going to get everybody involved in here because if it works. If not, I've got 60 days to return it, 60-day money back guarantee. So and so what happened was the amount of upsells, and this is very true in the infomercial business as well. If you've ever ordered anything from an infomercial, oftentimes when you call in, there will be as many as 5 or 6 upsells that they will offer you. The only thing that you can say, and his method was very clever, which said, look, I'm only going to show this screen to you once. If you don't want it, it is gone forever. You will never see this offer again. And the price, which is normally $997, is $197 right now. So it was a really compelling offer. So here's the issue for all of us. The issue is, okay, so here's product, product number 1. So given the fact that all of us are producing lots and lots of products, we're going to have available product number 2, product number 3, product number 4, and all of these, we're going to have them available. But I think it's because we're sort of shy to do what this guy did. The worst they can say is no. Who gives a rat's behind if they say no? So my suggestion is that on all the products, whenever somebody orders something, we set up a one-time only offer that says, look, you bought this product. Great. Thanks a lot. Here's another product. We don't want to bug you with it, but we're only going to make you this offer once. It's normally $997, but today only, if you buy it, it's $197 or $97 or whatever it is. And do that more than once so that every thank you page for the product is another upsell. The only thing that people can go is, and then it's funny because he put a little note there. He goes, click here only if you want it, only if you agree to miss this one-time only opportunity that you will never see again. So that's how you could close the window, which I thought was great. And again, I was tired and it was late, but the 60-day money-back guarantee is what allowed me to go from purchasing what I thought was going to be a $97 product and then ending up spending a little over $750 on my American Express card when everything was said and done. Brilliant. So for us, it just means one thing, which is let's not be shy to ask people to spend more money, especially when they already have their credit cards out. I think that's the big thing here. And where it happened was in the thank you page. So as soon as I hit order on ClickBank, it takes me to the thank you page, and it's selling me another friggin' product. And some of the sales letters for the second and the third and the fourth product were long sales letters, and they had 7 elements. And again, after I go through some of this stuff, basically, let me tell you what the product was. In short, it is a product that allows, it's the basic underlying thing, and it's just embarrassing how brain dead simple this is, yet it is brilliant, which is imagine if you wanted to create a website and populate it with a lot of stuff, a lot of great information, but you didn't want to do any of the work. Now, so what his whole system revolves around is to set up a site in WordPress. And basically one of the basic things he's selling is a plugin. And that plugin goes out and looks for RSS feeds and YouTube videos and articles about whatever the topic is you deem you want to do it. And you can set it up so that it would populate it with new blog posts and new RSS feeds as much as once an hour. So if you wanted to, you could literally have a site with thousands and thousands of pages of relevant content for your niche within a very short period of time. Now, I saw some of his numbers, and he kept throwing out this one number that he's made $2,444,987.43, which, I think he probably has. And the way that he did it was, if you picture that there was a ton of content, and again, he wants to make this so that it's brain dead simple and easy to do. One of the things that he did, which all of us are going to probably want to start doing too, is within our sites, if somebody goes and buys something at ClickBank, you don't even have to create the product, right? So you're selling some ClickBank. He had ClickBank and AdSense. So the way that he was monetizing these sites that he was creating that had all this content was he was having ClickBank and AdSense, and all you had to do was take your ClickBank ID number and throw it in this one slot in the plugin, take your AdSense ID number and throw it in that one slot. So basically your entire WordPress site, which even with some of the tweaks that he was suggesting you make, would take you maybe 20 minutes to set up. So you could literally, listen to this, you could set up 5-10 sites a day, use an unlimited hosting platform, either Bluehost or now the GoDaddy product where they have an unlimited hosting, and literally be putting up 10 sites a day in niche markets. And I was pretty flabbergasted. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, but it is all legitimate content. It just isn't yours. And so what you're doing is you're having the plugin go out there, search for the content, throw it in the website, and it was sort of clever what this guy did. Now, again, with 60 days money back, I will give you within the next 45 to 60 days my results, and if they do work, what we'll be doing is using this as a means to generate a bunch of traffic and then direct them to some of the stuff at our own home sites. So I'll let you know what that's happening. But the idea here is there are lots of ways. So a lot of times your concern is if you want to generate a lot of content for your blog that you can't do it all yourself. Well, there obviously are ways in which by drawing in other people's feeds on various topics, we can populate our blog with some of their material as well. Now, I'm not suggesting we do that exclusively, but it's going to be interesting as a test to see how much traffic actually ends up going there and whether or not Google indexes the site and everything else, and we'll see what happens. So I'll give you the results. But that was really the thing that I want to impress upon you here is the product itself is still suspicious. I'm not sure. I paid the money, but I did it because there was a 60-day money-back guarantee. And but what we will start to implement, all of us as a group, is this multi-product upsell. Because the only thing keeping people from doing this and doing product, number 5 and number 6 all the way to number 10 is, frankly, I think just embarrassment. Like, we don't want to look like we're selling everything all the time. Well, the thing about it is that I think if the upsells are related, and let's take a look at it as it relates to something like what Bill O'Hanlon and I are doing in publishing. Let's say that somebody says that they wanted to buy, your book on, how to get published. Okay? How to get published. Well, let's just say then that you also had a product having to do with how to get an agent. So getting an agent. Naturally, those two things are extremely related, and if in your copy for how to get published, you're going to upsell them to a how to get an agent program, they'd be going, and you could make a good case saying, hey, if you want to get published with a traditional publisher, if that's the route you're going, you should get this as well. And after they get the how to get an agent product, they get a solicitation on that thank you page when they order that for, how to write a proposal. Well, you don't have to buy this, but it's normally X, and today only if you buy it when you buy this, it's going to be Y. So that's good. And then maybe, maybe the next upsell, if we wanted to keep going ad infinitum, is, ghostwriter. And so now you've got someone who came in there on how to get a book published and has now bought 3 or 4 or 5 additional products. I have no problems with this as long as the offers are related, they're credible, and they have good content. So I mean, if you actually have a great program on how to get an agent, a great program on how to write a proposal, and you have a ghostwriter that will help your clients and do so in a great way that'll help them and get it done faster, all of these are legitimate upsells. And again, the thing that was amazing to me with what this guy did is product number 1. If we go down here for a second, if we go down here for a second at product number 1, the product number 1 was a $97 product. And some of the other upsells went even higher. And I was amazed that it worked on me. So it doesn't necessarily mean that all the upsells that you present customers with have to be lower price products. He did both. He did one for, and then he did one for, I think he did one for $27, which was like, then it was just to keep me to get to number 4, which then was another, $197 upsell. And it was interesting how this all happened. So I have no problems with this as a philosophy, as long as you're presenting really. Now, the thing that he did was, he said, look, this is a one-time only deal. You won't see it again at this price. And again, if you say that, you better actually do it. Now, I'm not sure because I know nothing about this guy, but the video was so friggin' obnoxiously, it's like you can make money by just falling out of bed. And I kept watching this going, is this guy serious? And I said, what is the guarantee on this? And I said, okay, well, I'll do it. And he started showing all of his ClickBank screens. And of course you can alter those, but it's a 60-day money-back guarantee. So what do I have to lose? So I'm figuring, okay, let's try this. So I'll give you the results later. For our purposes, upselling like this, good way to do it. And what that means is, if you're not really familiar with how this works, after someone orders a product in Web Marketing Magic, it allows you to show a thank you page. And that thank you page in itself can be another sales letter or a mini sales letter with another push to, or click to order button. So that what you're doing is you're giving people in the thank you, you're actually giving them a pitch. And if the pitch is for a good related product, I don't have any problems with this. I think it's a brilliant idea. So on that point, let me see if there's anything else that I learned recently that was really good. The other thing I learned is I spent a lot of time in the car with this guy's program that I told you I would buy and review, the Master of Enrollment program by this guy named Bill Barron. And I actually spoke to Bill on the phone yesterday, and I'm going to be going to his event in San Francisco sometime in March, and he's going to have me speaking on something. So I'll give you more information on that, but I will let you know what he has. Yeah, somebody just hit your mute on that. So this is good. So now any questions that you have on this stuff, I'll be happy to take them. So feel free to either ask the question verbally or write the question in the question sheet or the question area there in the on the GoToWebinar stuff. Questions? Comments?
Hey Fred, Dave here.
Yeah.
I love it. Everything is awesome. I just wanted to make one other possible suggestion, that the upsells are awesome. I've done the same thing. I bought things in one place that is very underutilized, I've seen, for an upsell, is on the thank you page after an opt-in. Because we figured, that's a hot person too. They're interested, they opted in, and say something like, we sent an email, please check your email. But while you're waiting, if you'd like to take advantage of 50% off of this intro product, I think the conversion rate on that is pretty significant. Maybe not as big as on a product thank you page because they got their credit card out, but still they're motivated.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one. I don't think, like you said, the numbers would be as high, because opting in is different than pulling out your credit card and already having given me money, because we've already qualified you as somebody willing to give me some money, whereas the other one, but I mean, it certainly is a great place to do it. I mean, absolutely. So after somebody opts in, so make sure that as you put this stuff together, you take Dave's advice, which is The sale after that. Now the thing about it is again it's got to be relevant, and it's got to be some special time sensitive offer, usually sensitive pricing and offer. So it's pricing offer, and so those two things make it a good place to do it. I agree. I think that's great.
This is Bill O'Hanlon. Dave, I just wanted to ask you: have you used the Upsell Express in Web Marketing Magic?
I was thinking about that. I've played with it. I haven't implemented it.
I have too. Yeah, I have too, and I've implemented it a little, but I haven't really gone public with it yet. But that seems like it would do one of these funnels that, Fred, you were exposed to. I've been exposed to those 20 or 30 times. Sometimes I've grabbed them. Most of the time I haven't. But I think the other thing that you didn't really underline in your summary is the money-back guarantee. That is pretty compelling, 60-day. And the second thing is, when people are selling things that can make money for them, that's a little different than, if they're selling stock market advice or they're selling information marketing and how to create passive income. People are much more willing to go for those upsells, I think, than if you're selling just pure information. How to write a book, that's a little indirect, make money. But I think that it's more compelling when you have a money-making product, as you said. I'll have 60 days to test this out, and I'll either make money or I won't. When you're selling just pure information that may make you money or may not, but probably won't in 60 days.
Hey, Bill, let me interrupt you.
I think the upsell is harder.
Bill, let me interrupt you. Do you have, intuitively, I think you may be right. Do you have any data to support what you're saying?
Yes, because I've sold two kinds of, I work with this partner, Ruth.
Yeah.
And when we sell things that are about making money, she always does an upsell. Always, always, always. And she didn't at first. And, she just realized she was leaving money on the table. So she always does an upsell. We get much more uptake when it's a thing that you can make money from directly. When it's an informational thing, we still get it's not like we don't make money from the upsell, but we make a lot more when it's a clear, direct path to making money.
Yeah, intuitively, that makes sense to me. I just think that the other thing is you have to ask yourself, when you're offering the upsells, the only downside I can see is getting people sort of pissed off at you and annoyed. But I don't even, if you do it even in a fun way, I think
that's right.
And
if you make a really good offer, it's a really good price. The guy who Russell Brunson used to do this, and there would be maybe 15 screens of upsells, and it's like, oh, come on, I got to get to the shopping cart. Just stop. And he wouldn't stop, and people complained bitterly about it on the blogs. I noticed that, but 3 or 4 screens, that's pushing it a little forward, but. That's not bad. 15.
Now remember, let's differentiate between what you just said and what I found, or what I found last night. What you're saying is before you can get to the shopping cart. Nope. Right. This was in the thank you page after you had placed the order for the subsequent product. That thank you page then took you to another sales letter, which you could immediately dismiss by going, no, I'm not interested.
And now I went through the same process you went through, and I didn't buy because I went through that offer, and I didn't buy, and I saw the same pages.
Now, did you see? Do you know the video I was talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went and watched it, and I went through it, but I didn't buy on the first iteration. So I got not thank you pages, but I got wait. When you leave, before you leave, what about this? And then I left that page, and then it said another offer, and another offer.
Now, because to me, the compelling issue, and again, I think this is where we got to sort of be thinking like our customers, which is, for me at least, the space on my American Express card is fairly wide open, as long as you give me the 60-day guarantee. And frankly,
sure.
I'm not going to wait 60 days. I'm going to evaluate this within the next probably 15 to 30 days maximum. And I'm going to make a decision. And if it doesn't pull what he says or whatever, if it doesn't do what he says, I'm getting my money back.
Well, if it doesn't do $750 worth, get your money back.
Exactly.
If it does more than that, you've made your investment back. That's
yes,
right.
And exactly. Now, the other thing is this, is that for me at least, the other compelling issue, other than the 60-day guarantee, was the fact that it was coming from ClickBank, where I have never had a problem with getting my money back. So somebody offering a money back guarantee, I don't know this guy, and if he had sold it under his own website, I may not have opted for anything. The fact that it was going through ClickBank made me much more willing to do it. And that's because I have never had a negative experience attempting to get my money back with them. Any thoughts on that?
That wouldn't influence me a great deal because, you know, American Express will stop that payment and dispute it as well.
Right.
And, you know, if they have a legitimate credit card and they're getting chargebacks because they're lying to people, they won't have that site very often, and they'll get criminally prosecuted because they'll just get so much in chargebacks that those credit card companies will drop and never let them use their credit cards again. So I'm less worried about that. But, you know, that moved you, so that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, Fred, a question.
Yeah.
If I can ask a question on the process of what you experienced last night, did you have the product the download link before the upsell came? Because I've had it where I've bought a product, I gave my credit card, and they kept hitting me with these offers before they would even give me the download link.
There were two options on that thank you page. One was download the product, or two, see this amazingly great additional product that you'll only see one time.
And you can just add it on to the order?
No, not add it onto the order. You then go to a separate order. So I click on yes, I want this. Takes me to the ClickBank shopping card. I pay for it. When I'm done paying for it, I come back and I have another sales page that has click here if you just want to download what you just got, or click here for the other to buy the other offer.
Gotcha.
And it was maybe because I was sort of bleary-eyed last night and just like going, wow, this is cool, you know. And
well, if it makes you the money, we all want to hear about it. We're signing up.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, what I'm going to do is, if it makes me the money, it's another one of these things. Now, by the way, thank you to Dave Hamilton, who was just speaking, for saving me $2,500 when I signed up for the Link Liberation. I have no doubt that the Link Liberation software and the Link Liberation program probably works fairly well. But let me tell you, unless you are an extreme techie, that program was not going to work. So if you were very technically savvy, I think it would have been a good thing. So I mean, I think that link, it's Link Liberation. I don't have an affiliate link, but it was linkliberation2.com or something like that. Link Liberation looked, and I know the people behind it, and they are legitimate people. I actually talked to some of the people at this conference, and they knew the principles, and they, yeah, these guys are for real. So that was one of those examples of where I spent $2,500. I sent it over to Dave. I said, Dave, look at this. He goes, yeah, it probably works, but it looks like it's a pain in the neck to try and figure out and set up and everything else. The reason why I went for all those upsells last night is this guy kept saying, and Bill, do you remember, how long ago did you see that video, by the way? Bill O'Hanlon?
I see what?
How long ago did you see that video?
I don't know, the night it came, or a couple of nights ago,
okay.
Or whenever it came out.
So when it came out, he kept saying, it was really funny because he had this video where he's sitting on a couch, and he kept saying the same thing over and over again, which was, this is the easiest thing. You don't have to do any work. It's automatic, A. And B,
That's very compelling.
He kept saying over and over again, this is white hat. This is not black. So everything we're doing here is completely legitimate.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think the ease of, it almost got me to go, and I was busy, and I was like, oh, I'll go back to it later, and I didn't. But yeah, I think the ease of use for the non-technical stuff, I'm a Kajabi user at this point, but I haven't really gotten into it, but I'm about to get into it because I got it as a bonus for something else I bought, and they're about to start charging for it. And that's the sell point for that. It's super easy for non-technical people, and I think that's going to be the cutting edge. The people that do what Dave does, but they put it into software automation, and I don't have to hire Dave to be my web marketing magician. There's a front end that does the stuff that Dave knows how to do and walks me through it, even though I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm doing technically.
Now, the thing is, I met some people, like I met a guy there who owns a site. Let me just see if I can actually pull this up. I think it's Super Niche Finder. Let me just see if this is, nope, that must not be it. Super niche. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dave? You've seen this guy. His name is it Tom? I forget his name now. Got his card somewhere. Anyway, he came to one of my seminars years and years ago, and he is a guy who has created some software that has to do with, it basically does some of the stuff that Google does and more. And oh, by the way, do any of you know that when you get all your keywords at Google through their Google external keyword tool, that there is a function there to download the names and put it into an Excel spreadsheet? I didn't know that. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, so for people who didn't know that, so when you go to the Google external keyword tool, when you go there, apparently when you fill in, and just show me where this is so I can show everybody here on this call. If we go to, so if I go to, I go to poker playing, or poker techniques, and then
Welcome to Micro Niche Finder.
okay, you found it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that guy, I forget his name. Take a look down at the bottom. What's his name? Something James or?
I closed the window
Okay.
because I was talking too loud.
Okay. Anyway, with this, always, and again, you can put it on the exact match, which I didn't know that either, so that sort of helped. But where do you click to download this into your into an Excel file?
I think it's over to the right.
Download to the left there. Oh, sorry, to the left above keyword download.
Above keyword download.
Below search button and above keyword. You're getting close. Go down a little to the left. Yeah, no, over to the right.
Oh, here,
there
download. Download all kind of thing?
Yeah.
So that's where it would allow me to do it.
Yeah, it goes into a this CSV or something file or an Excel file.
Got it. Yeah, here it is, CSV for Excel. Yeah, cool. Okay, good. So I didn't know that. So it's always a lot easier to go ahead and download that stuff.
Yeah, usually it's hundreds of them, so it's nice to get all those.
Yeah, and so the some of the software that they were peddling last night had that as the some of the stuff on there. So any other things anybody wants to discuss? I got real excited by a number of these things. The thing that most enthused me was this, that the GoDaddy system has everything that we need to be doing stuff, including this thing called Website Tonight, which is you can literally, they have a wizard that'll set up a site so that for people who don't want, and also apparently, and I got an email from the head of SEO. Now you got to believe that the head of SEO for all of GoDaddy, who by the way I asked him for an interview, and he said he has to run it by legal. When I talked to him in person, he said, "Yeah, sure," and then he said, "No, I got to run it by legal." So I might be able to get him on the phone, but he said that there are the top 10 things are within one element of the reseller program, and I'll try and find those and just copy them and give them to you guys. But clearly, he knows what he's doing. There's no doubt because of the results that they're having. Other questions, comments anybody wants to bring up?
Nope. I'm gonna wait for your results on that product you bought. I'd be very interested in it.
Yeah, well, here's the problem, and I need Dave. I may need your help on this. I don't know if Dave's still on the call. Yeah, Dave's still on the call.
Yeah.
The problem was, and this is where they screwed up, is they made a big deal of saying it was either for Mac or PC, but when I got to the place that was download, it was an executable file. They didn't give two options. So again, so I sent a note to their support people and saying, but I know what they're doing. And Dave, do you know if there are any other plugins for WordPress that allow you to pull in, because this plugin basically, it pulls in RSS feeds based on certain keywords. It pulls in YouTube videos based on certain keywords. And it also pulls in certain articles from a free article base using certain keywords. Is that something? Go ahead.
There are things out there like that that kind of auto-populate your site. Free Article Wizard is one. The, and so, yeah, so there are things out there.
I'm talking specifically about a plugin.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Oh, it is. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, because I'm trying to figure out, whether or not. Now, the thing about it is, for me, is that the big challenge here is you got to keep going back. There's so much. When you think about it, it's just like golf. The whole thing is back to fundamentals. The whole thing is back to product, conversion, and traffic. I mean, that's it. But there's really not a whole lot more to this than that. But I mean, it's not like that's easy. But there's, product. So I just recorded Bill DeWeese isn't on the call right now because he's got too much work going on today. So we recorded a little intro thing for some of his voiceover people. And if you have a product that's really, really good, then one thing. I mean, if it's really good, people are going to tell others. They're going to buy more, from you. I mean, that's pretty, the conversion issue, it seems like now everything is more video oriented. And I think that there's really a mix, of video sort of plus text that'll work. And then with traffic, it seems like, and again, I pitied the gal that was at this conference that was there from Google, because basically everybody was saying, yeah, pay-per-click was great, but too bad you can't afford it anymore. No one in that room, virtually no one in that room was using pay-per-click anymore, because it was ridiculously overpriced, because all the stupid money had bid it up. So naturally then we're looking for free traffic, and the best free traffic is SEO, and the best SEO usually comes from blogs, that get lots of backlinks. And obviously that was one of the key elements too, is getting those backlinks. Other things to discuss.
Fred, what's the cost of setting up as a reseller of?
Well, let's take a look. Let me just show you. This is now, and I'm telling you, the people in this room most of them were a lot younger than me. And a lot of them make it. So selldomainsforprofit.com.
You misspelled it.
Did I? Thank you.
Yeah.
Sell domains for profit.
No, you put in an extra 4 after sell.
Okay, so on this one, there are two options here. One is the basic reseller, and the other is the pro reseller. Now, I am a pro reseller, which means I can resell the resale package. So you have two options: either to be a basic reseller for $90, or to be a pro reseller, which means you can resell the resale package. Now, I'm a big believer, and I got out my stats last night because I hadn't checked them. I didn't even know you could. I'm such a moron. There's so many great tools that they give you within there. I mean, it's really cool. But I have 20 pro resellers. I have 20 basic resellers under me, and I have 600 or 700 customers who are buying domain names from me. And I am able to, they have graphs and charts of sales that are going on. And also there was a big discussion. Listen to this. Bob Parsons, the CEO of GoDaddy, gets up there, and he's a pretty sales-oriented kind of guy. He gets up there, and this one guy that I got to be pretty friendly with raises his hand and says, you know what? There's a pretty bad thing going on. He goes, every time somebody decides not to renew their domain name, it goes to auction. And when it goes to auction, let's say, and it sells, we don't get a piece of that. And Bob looks out in the audience. Obviously, he had heard about this from this guy beforehand or whatever. And he says, you know what? I think that's a pretty raw deal too. He says, what do you say if we split it 2/3 your way, 1/3 our way? So imagine if somebody doesn't renew some kick-ass domain name. And again, this is a highly unusual scenario. But let's just say that somebody didn't renew a domain name that then got auctioned off for $300,000. You'd get a check for $200,000.
Wow.
So, but this Bob Parsons guy really, stood up and said, you know what? That's BS. We shouldn't be doing that to you guys. Or, for example, listen to this. The opportunity was happening, and this is one of the things everybody was bitching about, made sense. If I stop, if I don't renew my domain name with ultra cheap domains, and then I can go ahead and go over to GoDaddy and start working with them directly, and I'm cut out of the loop. They're going to cookie that person and actually IP them, identify them or whatever, so that they don't do that, so that I continue to receive commission. So they're pretty sharp in terms of understanding. And I asked the question, of course, which was one of the few questions that they did not give an answer to. I said, what percentage of your total dollars are generated by resellers? So in the end analysis, the answer was somewhere between 1 and 50%.
Nice range.
Yeah. So in other words, it was significant enough for them to hold a pretty fancy pants conference, to spend a lot of money. They took us out to steakhouses and brought in a lot of fancy people. So it's obviously significant enough for them. So my suggestion is, and by the way, their plans, and Dave, you talk about, that HostGator is HostGator does not own their servers.
Who are they?
HostGator, who you use, don't you?
No, I switched things to Bluehost.
Okay, good, because HostGator is a reseller. They don't even own their own servers. These guys at here, they have all of their own servers, and you have so many different options. They were showing me all the server options, and if you have any questions, they have reps that are assigned to me. If you want to ask any questions, you just talk to Matt, and let me just see if I can find Matt's. I don't know, where's this? I got a bunch of cards from all these guys. It's where is it? Anyway, email me and I'll get you Matt's email address. So if you want to find out anything about, I just think that this is going to be, everybody is in the domain. Everybody's going to have a domain name. And the average person, by the way, who owns a domain owns 5 3/4 domain names. So most people own multiple domain names. So all this means is, I think that for anyone that does anything in online marketing, to not have one of these accounts frankly, it just seems nuts. So there you have it. And I don't think we need to do any more, but thanks for being on the call. And